This is the third part of Manhwa. If you haven't seen the first two parts, then the link to the video is in the description and in the comments. Han Dae-song enters an open portal and complains of pain in his body, which is strange because he only knocked over a couple of small fry. At the same time, he demands from the system to show how much magical powers he has left from the previous body. A screen appeared in front of him at the same moment, and announced to the impudent man that he had only 10% of the magical powers left from the original. Then everything becomes clear. It wasn't about the weapon at all. He needs to quickly return to full form, and with these thoughts he demands from the system the fastest way to raise the level of magical powers. At the same time, the system asks the kid to systematize his diary, and then he will know the time and place of various tasks. And after their fulfillment, he will receive awards. The Lord of Hell does not immediately understand what the hell the diary is. Is this really the diary he wrote every day in hell? He wrote it so as not to go completely crazy in that damned place. The system again offers to systematize the diary, and Dessen agrees without a second's hesitation. At the same time, a red-bound notebook appears in front of him. The system begins to systematize the manuscripts, and at the same time a demonic force breaks out of the diary, and launching the seal before the eyes of the youngster, the past days fly by. After that, the diary lights up and the system announces the completion of printing. At the same time, Dessen wants to immediately proceed to obtaining magical power, and proceeds to the 11th page in the manuscript, titled In the Forest at the Predator. The system accepted the request, and the pantheon began to change instantly. Meanwhile, the guys left in the store climb the stairs, and the greedy operator realizes that the guy in the suit is a friend of that curt youngster. He decides to ask where his friend has gone. Chan-ho immediately understood what was going on and, looking at the survivor with a judgmental look, asked if he had been offered money for revealing his identity. The impudent man could not even answer this. When suddenly a strange sound was heard on the landing. After that, Chan-ho ordered the boy to go ahead and keep quiet, because there could be surviving creatures on the roof. After that, the business guy received a notification. Taking out his mobile phone, he saw a message from the leader of the clan Seoul. The main one's name is Hwang Junyan. He reports that those responsible for the evacuation are late, referring to the fact that it's the weekend, which is why Jang Ho should also leave there as soon as possible. After reading this sad news, the guy mentally asks Dessen to come back soon. Dessen himself was in the pantheon at that time. The system notified him that the Predator's forest, recorded on the 16th page of the diary, was restored, but three-dimensional seals prevent reproducing the picture. Near the youngster, a window was lit notifying about the upcoming task, namely, he will have to destroy the celestial being who captured the Predator's forest. The time to complete is 1 hour, and as a reward he will receive 30% of magical powers. The celestial being discovered the interventionist, and was going to destroy him immediately by firing a powerful laser from his eye. The black-haired man easily dodged such a predictable attack, after which he turned around and a celestial resident appeared in front of his face. The creature makes its second attack and, having missed, digs its hand into the ground, but Dae-song does not have time to catch up and he is going to finish with the monster quickly. He deals a crushing blow to the creature, after which his face cracks and he falls to the ground with a crash. The Lord of Hell successfully lands on the surface, but it's not over yet. The monster lengthens his fingers and continues to step on the kid, but it starts to bother him, and he is going to overcome this obstacle. And having rounded these steel bars, he delivers a fatal blow to the torso of the monster, from which he falls apart. This bug is not enough for him, and he is going to continue further, but turning around, he notices a completely whole red core, and this promises big trouble. But more on that a little later. At this time the events continue in the butcher shop. Chang-ho carefully looks out of the door, and when they go out on the roof, they see corpses. It's terrible, but there's no way to help them. After examining the surface more carefully, they notice a man who has survived, but he is also in a very sad state. The guys immediately run up to him and Chan-ho tries to reach the victim, but he is in a state of shock and mutters some incomprehensible words. At the same time the guy in the suit asks what the man wanted to say, and from his bloody mouth one word was heard: run. At that moment, terror permeated Chang-ho's body and a huge monster appeared before him, thirsting for fresh blood. But the operator did not notice anything like that and suggests moving the victim to a safe place faster, but the wary Chan-ho says it's too late, and also asks the boy not to move without a voice command. But the careless guy does not understand what is the matter, and turning his head another 90 degrees, he abruptly began to realize his situation, because there is a terrifying monster above them. The guy in the suit is trying to reach the store employee, because if he does not come to his senses, they will quickly die here, so the youngster should quickly run to the door on command. At this moment, the monster begins to scream furiously and jumps on the survivors. At the same time, Chan-ho gives a voice command. At this time, the forest of the predator. A strange energy emanated from the mysterious red ball, and the black-haired man did not understand what kind of crap it was. At the same time, the core announced the beginning of rebirth, and the remnants of the restoring monster took off. Dessen immediately rushed to the ball and struck it with a powerful blow, but it did not have any effect. Therefore, the ruler of hell jumped on the old object and began to destroy it with all his might. Soon small cracks appeared on the core, but despite this, the rebirth of the celestial dweller continued. Dae-sun was making punches without stopping, and the ball began to disperse at the seams. But this is already pretty tired of the kid, and he was going to finish it with a final blow. But swinging his arm was shot with a laser, and turning around he saw more of the same creatures. Suddenly, they bowed their heads, after which they launched a massive attack on the boy, who took off from the spot into the air, thereby grandly dodging the withering attack. After landing, his deeds were terrible, because the percentage of the monster's rebirth reached 95%. Then the angry kid quickly rushed to the core and punched through it. The light from the shattering core illuminated the monsters. Dessen flew back to Earth, and even though he defeated one monster, but this way he could not finish this fight, so he had to find another way out of this situation. After a short thought, he decides to try to look for the answer in his memory. Clutching his head, he realizes that his head is a complete mess, and it's terribly unpleasant. But suddenly he remembered, and now he knows how to destroy these bugs. At this time, the guys are running with all their strength to the door, and the monster in the air is ready to deliver a crushing blow. Landing, he makes a huge crack in the concrete, but he missed his main goal, and realizing this, he rushed after the guys in a rage. But they already managed to run into the building, and the monster with his huge hand is not able to reach them. They narrowly escape their deaths. The monster pulls his huge hand out of the doorway, leaving a mark on the floor. Having calmed down, Chan-ho suggests going down. At this time, Dae-sung jumps from the heavenly inhabitants and dodges their attacks in every possible way. Just a little more turning around and he will be able to do what he has planned. The guy jumps away from the fog, and running away at a sufficient distance from his pursuers realizes that he has reached the right point. Meanwhile, the heavenly inhabitants have already got to the right distance and have started their attack again. But it's too late, and Dessen politely says goodbye to the heavenly creatures, because they are in the forest with the predator. At this moment, a huge monster bursts out of the ground and swallows these monsters in a moment. The boy is surprised that the swamp whale still has the same appetite, and now these creatures will not be reborn, because this whale will digest anything. The system lights up and congratulates on the successful completion of the task, as well as warns about Han Dae-sung's physical reboot. Now he notices that he has really become stronger, and he is also given a bonus for completing the mission, namely the judge's dagger. This is quite a nice gift for a youngster. The description of the dagger says that it can be controlled at a distance of 100 meters. And also, the stronger the owner, the stronger the weapon becomes. The black-haired man decides to use this wonderful ability for testing, and throwing the dagger flew a short distance and returned it back. Now he has to go back. He opens the portal and calmly returns to Earth. At the moment, the news is broadcasting about the recent opening of the gate near Nangakdan. The area has become chaotic. The professor criticizes the Association of Hunters, because the affected area is under their jurisdiction. A man does not understand how people can trust people who are slow with such catastrophes. Besides, they allow themselves a weekend in such a difficult hour. Portals in this world are open periodically, which means that hunters should be on the alert on any weekend or holiday, and this case should show all their irresponsibility. At this time, a white car is driving along the road, and an irritated man is watching this broadcast and criticizing him in every possible way, because hunters from the association cannot receive as much as members of clans. In addition, he claims that he is not a clairvoyant, and cannot know about the appearance of the next gate, even with the help of special equipment. The boss is trying to calm down his ward, because he, as a leader, will definitely be fired if they fail. Suddenly, an urgent announcement is made from the same broadcast. They received information that a dubious hunter with injuries appeared in the area. This news surprises the guys who are rushing by car to the danger zone. At this time, the operator asks the senior about whether there is no way to get out of here. After all, there are a lot of corpses on the roof. Besides, a creepy monster is wandering nearby. But Chan-ho is also depressed. They have no other choice but to wait for rescuers. At this moment, a lot of noise is heard on the street. The guys do not know what to expect, they are worried about the thought, is it really hunters? A powerful explosion is heard in the store. The frightened guys hid behind the table. Apparently they are monsters. Raising their heads, they saw an angry Daesun, who had killed another monster, because he was terribly hungry. Chang-ho is surprised how his friend ended up here. But Daesun kept silent, and in response he wrinkled up a lot. At the same time the guy in the suit asked if the black-haired man had been wounded. But even on this, Daesun kept silent and turned to the store employee with a request. He demands that he turn on the fire and fry some meat, because the guy is so hungry that he is ready to eat an elephant. The guys were surprised by such a strange request. Is he really going to eat quietly in such a place? Soon Daesung picks up a fried piece of meat with the monster's blood and begins to eat. In response to this sight, those present began to vomit. Soon a man in uniform came to the door of the store and asked if the survivors were okay. The former operator enthusiastically jumps up from his seat. He is insanely happy because they are saved and will live. Running up to the military man, the worker thanks him with all his might, but the guy in uniform himself pays attention to the black-haired man who was quietly eating on the sidelines. But then Jang Ho jumps out, who salutes and thanks the military for the work done in such a deep night, and also hurries to explain that the guy at the table is slightly out of his mind and behaves like that because of shock. Daesung doesn't understand what's going on, but Jang Ho continues to prevent him from eating and for some reason began to carry all sorts of nonsense about the fact that the black-haired man should be shown to a doctor. To which the soldier replied that the survivors are not allowed to leave the place of the incident yet. At the same time the guy in the suit pulls out an ID card from his pocket, which says that he is the head of the first team from the Seoul clan. At the same time, the soldier awkwardly scratched his head. He did not expect to see his colleague here and offered to take them from here to a safe place. At this time, on the street, the rest of the soldiers were examining the place of the incident, and the pumped-up guy turned away from the numerous corpses and began to burp. The manager is outraged by the behavior of his employee, because now is not the time for this and orders him to check the survivors as soon as possible. After that, the guy apologizes to his boss and goes to the nearest military man, after which he asks to go inside with him, because he is a hunter from the association. Meanwhile, the leader was lost in thought, because what kind of strange hunter could do such a thing with monsters? Judging by the remains of those killed, he is stronger and tougher than monsters. At this time, two friends took a look at the places of events in Chang-ho's car. The guy behind the wheel offers Daesung to spend the night with him. However, the black-haired man immediately refuses, because his relatives will worry. But Chang-ho accuses his friend of short-sightedness, because at the moment everyone will want to catch him, so he will call his mom and warn him that he will not be home. The ruler of hell went into the apartment of his old friend. The guy takes off his business suit and sends the black-haired man to the shower first, and at this time he promises to order something to eat. Soon coming out of the shower stall, the guy observes a fully set table. He is pleasantly surprised. But why is it suddenly such generosity? In response to this, Chang-ho states that the black-haired man was interrupted when he was eating meat, so now he is eating away. Daesung mentions their recent conversation, namely that his friend said that if you become hunters, you can earn a lot of money. And Chang-ho confirms the above, because now is such a time the world needs heroes. Chang-ho wonders if his friend has decided to become a hunter? The black-haired man, chewing meat, agrees. The guy is pleasantly surprised, because this is a great solution. If Daesun goes to the association and shows his abilities, he will definitely get level B, and if he tries he can get level A. These words attract the attention of the ruler of hell and he wonders what kind of levels are these. In response, a friend explains to him that this is something like the ranks. If you are at level B, you can join a large clan, or become a member of the association. In any of the options they will pay a lot, and if you have a level, so even more. Licking his fingers, the Lord of Hell asks if there are higher discharges? And Chang-ho happily replies there are such people, but there are only 5 of them and their class is S. These are walking legends, because there are only 5 of their 2 million awakened ones. And then the friend laughs maliciously. Is Daesung thinking of becoming the 6th? But he asks him to stop. There is no need for such ambitions, because it would be great if they took him at least to A. In Korea it is not so easy to get there. And after asking again about his friend's intentions to become a hunter, he promises to help him in this matter, after which they fight for their success. At this time, in another skyscraper at a solid table, a man is having dinner neatly, and considering the biography of a mysterious guy. Then he started talking to his subordinate about the crazy debtor. With a dirty knife, he begins to poke at the report and clarify that this unknown person destroyed his entire organization, and because of this, they may now find themselves in a difficult position. The head of the internet was interested in the question, why didn't the survivor escape since he was still alive? Why did you come to them and start telling them about it? The frightened bandit declares that he had nowhere else to turn. The head of the Red Horse clan notices that this is quite logical, because the bully could not go to the police. But why is he trembling so much? Is it really because of that bandit nearby? After looking at his past boss, the guy swallowed his saliva. The leader, under the name of Lee Sogu, held the poor bully by the shoulder and he tearfully asked to save his life, but the head calms him down, because he promises to take only money. But the guy can't utter a word, and taking the bandit by the head, he says that no matter how they were robbed, they probably had to give up hidden savings, but the bald-headed one doesn't know. He explains that he held the lowest position in the company, so he does not know about this and prays to Soga to believe it. Then he lags behind the guy and says that he believes him. The intimidated bandit thanks him from the bottom of his heart. This is where the head of the Red Horse clan is going to finish, and with these words he mercilessly kills the sitting. Blood stained the whole room. And even after death, the fountain of blood continued to illuminate this room. But it didn't bother Soga. He went back to the report and examined it carefully, after which he demanded from the servants that they sort out this guy in the photo. The next day, the Hunters Association of Korea. Before Dae-sung goes inside, Chang-ho explains to his friend that when he comes in, he should tell the employee at the entrance that he has come to receive a certificate of his awakening. After that, they will show and tell him everything, and also the guy in the suit wants the black-haired man to use a polite style of communication, otherwise he looks like a nut when he speaks informally. In response to this, Dae-sung just waved his hand nonchalantly. Chang-ho once again shouted to his friend to perform there without amateur performances, and he will also go to work himself, and asks to write to him when the results are known. For some reason, the guy in the suit was worried about his friend. Passing by the crowd, the ruler of hell looked around and saw a lot of smoking people who came here on a light. Apparently they also came here to get a certificate. Going inside, the black-haired man thought, although Chang-ho promised that he would be able to get a lot of money here, but somehow it's too confusing. Soon he sat in a queue near the examination room. The 9th number is written in his coupon. As it turned out, he is quite a sought-after position, and looking at his uncomplicated Talaknik, he hopes that they will reach his number pretty quickly. At this moment, his attention is attracted by an incoming message. Taking out his phone, he sees a notification from his mother. She asks her son when he will return home, and also tells him that her back ached today and therefore took a day off. Han Dae-sung decides not to tell his mother what he is going to do, so he decides to write what is still at a friend's house and promises to take a shower slowly and return home. Soon he receives a reply message saying that Jisoo wanted to have lunch together, and therefore went for soup. After reading this message, the guy grinned and decides that he needs to come home as soon as possible. At this moment, a woman with glasses comes out of the office and announces that the next in line is number 9, so he should prepare. Meanwhile, there was a conflict in the office. An elderly man is very indignant, because they tell him that he is not awakened. He claims that he definitely felt it happen to him. In response to this, the employee apologizes, but the device did not recognize anything like this. Then the old man begins to blame this non-working piece of iron for everything that is happening. He is very outraged by the service of the association. Meanwhile, in the corridor, visitors are already beginning to get tired of this scandal, because the man is only delaying the queue. But the old man continues to insist that he is awakened, because how else will they explain that he went bald in just one night? Hearing such a thing, the people did not hold back their laughter in the corridor, but Dessen was already tired of waiting, because they were waiting for him at home with soup. At this moment, an elderly man announces that he will not go anywhere and will declare himself in this way. But then he is abruptly grabbed by the head, and the ruler of hell tries to politely address a respected pensioner. Turning around, the old man went through 9 circles of hell and his poor bald head misted up because of the boy's twisted gaze. In response, he could not say a word, but soon declares that this association has worthless equipment, because he is definitely awakened. Dae-sung asks the staff if this is true, and a man in a suit declares that he is awake and can check the words of an elderly man, after which he approaches the device and puts his hand to the ball. Soon the ball lit up green, which means that the man has a level C, as it was possible to understand the machine is working correctly. In response to what was happening, the man had no words and the assistant with a malicious grin politely asked to leave the room, while other people standing in line were ready to kill the old man with a look, and going outside he shouted that the app art could be wrong, and then left. The woman apologized for this incident to the black-haired man and asked him to go to his office. Going inside, the woman turned to her colleague and whispered that it seemed to her that this client would have a fairly high level, but he did not take her words seriously and hitting her on the forehead, told her to continue working and not to build eyes. But still one thought did not give her peace of mind, because the guy caused a feeling of fear, and if he is awakened, then his level should be exactly above level B.